Hi, this is Niels from Sphereon. Today I will be doing a demonstration about a proof of concept we've done with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management in the Netherlands about a digital product passport for road salt in this case. What does that have to do with a legal person wallet, you might ask? Well, we believe there's quite a lot of similarities between the two of them and quite a lot of commonalities about requirements that are needed for both. First, let me explain a little bit about the background of this project before doing the actual demonstration so that you have a little bit more context. So, what is actually a digital product passport? It's a digital twin of a product, semi-product or raw material, which is, of course, living in the real world. It is a dynamic file about its complete life cycle. It has its roots in supply chains, of course. They are very important. You need to have records of origin, of processing, of raw materials into semi-finished products and into products. Of course, also potentially its usage, its end of life, for instance, for batteries. You need to have transparency and ideally independently being able to verify data. Multiple parties are involved. Typically, accountability and handover of responsibility is an important thing. And for that, you need provenance and audit trails. And as mentioned, it has its roots in supply chains, which is all about parties interacting. And since we now will be having digital identities for people and organizations, why not do the same thing for products or semi-finished products and raw materials? We believe that would be an ideal combination that could really play an important role in the digital transformation of supply chains. So some of the things that a digital product passport and legal person wallet have in common. So in both cases, we talk about multiple people, multiple organizations working together, all of them having different levels of authorizations, using different systems, each having their own view on data. They, however, are collaborating and exchanging data. And ideally, of course, that is the exchange of verifiable data using, for instance, digital signatures and verifiable credential and cryptographic proofs. The exchange of data and documents in a process typically needs something of a business process management system, so read a workflow system. You have humans interacting with those systems, so you want to have something like customizable forms, which you can include in a workflow system. You need to have machine-to-machine interactions in a lot of cases. You want to have audit trails and identifiers associated with identities. As you can see, there's quite a lot of commonality between what you will need in a legal person wallet and a digital product passport. At Sphereon, we are providing open source libraries, software development kits, and products which can be used for relying parties, for issuers, for wallets, and in this case also for digital product passports. If people are interested, we are always happy to be discussing about our open source product. So really quickly, the process, it starts out with a public tender. Then one supplier is awarded preliminary. They need to test a sample of the salt, which is done by an independent party called SGS. If it's okay, then they can deliver the salt. Of course, if it's not okay, they have a fixed amount of time in order to try again. If it's okay, then they are awarded as the supplier. They have to do the mining, or if they have it in inventory, deliver it from there, which roughly takes 2 weeks. Then they are sending the trucks to a harbor, after which the shipping itself happens, which is roughly 10 days. And then it arrives in the port of Rotterdam, after which the transshipment starts. But first of all, SGS needs to independently take samples again of the shipload so that they know that everything is in order. If it's okay, then the trucks will transport the salt to the storage facilities and they will be stored, the salt will be stored there. If it's not okay, then of course, the supplier has the chance to either reprocess or purify the salt. If that doesn't work out, they will need to restart the order. So this is quickly sort of a simplified workflow. in which 3 parties are involved. In reality, there are more parties involved, but we wanted to keep this simple. On the left-hand side, you have the ministry. In the middle, you have the supplier, Stonebase, and on the right-hand side, you have SDS, which is the independent testing facility. As you can see in here, although it's in Dutch, we have the interactions, and during those interactions, actually verifiable credentials are being created. Sometimes those are the result of a human interaction, sometimes they are the result of an automatic machine-to-machine interaction. What we are using for that is the W3C Verifiable Credential API with an extension for traceability, which is an open specification. What you're seeing in this picture is basically shipment information being sent from the shipper to the carrier, and then the carrier sending a bill of lading back to the shipper. That's done using verifiable credentials, so they independently verify those credentials before taking the next step. Of course, those credentials have schemas associated with it, using the traceability interoperability vocabulary. It's linked data, meaning semantics are involved, so that even though there might be different languages or different terms, they know they are talking about the same thing. This is an example. You can forget about it immediately, but this shows you how a bill of lading as a verifiable credential actually looks like. On the right-hand side, you are seeing how that's being displayed, for instance, in the product itself. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of information in the credential itself. So one interesting thing to talk about is, since we are using this Verifiable Credential API, we are also using decentralized identifiers in this case. And next to having public keys in the decentralized identifiers, we're also heavily using services. Services are descriptors for service endpoints. So in this example, you're seeing a traceability API descriptor as well as a digital product passport service, which means that you could resolve this DID and then specifically ask, for instance, for the traceability API, and it would automatically give you back the service endpoint for the traceability API, meaning that external parties could discover this traceability API. Similarly, they can actually find the URL for the digital product passport itself. And as the DID remains fixed, it means that the endpoint can change over time, so that you could use this, for instance, in a QR code. So this is very similar to what GS1, the global product passport and other identifiers does. So for instance, they are providing GTIN numbers, and they also have a resolver type of product, which allows you to have fixed identifiers, but have different scopes, so that, for instance, from a cash register system, you're getting different information than, for instance, from an inventory system, although the actual ID is actually the same. So let's go into the demonstration of the product itself. Okay, we're now at the assets overview screen of the digital product passport. You can see there's also already some assets in here. I can add a new asset, not going to do that because that's a multi-step process. I already created an example asset over here. And if I open that, as you can see, there's all kinds of details about the asset itself. And it also contains a list of tasks that need to be executed. There is an example document associated with it, which was a presentation file that I attached to it. Well, let's not go into too many details of the document itself, but there's also contacts associated with it. So there's the example organization who's ordering, in this case, the road salt, and there's Stonebase, who is the supplier of the road salt. But let's get back to the asset itself. As you can see, there is a credential card over here, and I can click on Get Credential. And this is actually opening a OpenID for PCI flow of an already existing credential. So it can also be used for existing credentials if you want to independently verify a credential, for instance. So let's do that using the wallet, the mobile wallet on the right-hand side. So let's scan the QR code. And since this is the first time that I'm interacting with this issuer, it will ask me to add a new contact. So let's do that. And as you can see, I now have the same information as on the left, actually in an independent wallet on the right. The fact that I got to this screen already means that the credential has been validated and is valid, as you can also see in the picture. So let's accept it and store it in my mobile phone. I can now, of course, also go into the workflow, which is basically my inbox. Since I'm authorized to be able to execute as multiple organizations, I can do some of the steps. So you see over here, there is example organization and the Stonebase. Obviously, as I explained, we are using the WFTC VC API. The whole concept is that every organization also has their own infrastructure and their own view on the product passport, and that they can use machine-to-machine communication to exchange credentials, to basically also do steps that I'm doing manually in here also via machine-to-machine interaction, so that the individual workflows continue. I will be showing you an example where both organizations are using the same product, and I'm doing this with my demo user, so I don't have to switch between different personas. So first, let's approve a new asset. So this asset has been created, but the other organization still needs to approve it. Well, really simple step. Let's approve. And as you can see, now also for the example organization, there is a task to actually attach a certificate of origin. So let's do that. I have a certificate of origin over here, which is a regular PDF document. I'm going to attach that. And now there is an actual task for Stonebase, the sole delivery party, and they actually need to approve this document. So this is literally the document that I just attached as the example organization, and now Stonebase is going to approve. Again, a new step is appearing. So now, for instance, Stonebase needs to provide them with a quality plan. So let's quickly do that. And well, you can already, I guess that now the example organization needs to approve this quality plan. So let's do that. Okay, so the process continues a few times back and forth. Also, there is, as you can see now, all of a sudden the testing party involved. I'm not going to show that because it's more of the same, basically. What is interesting though is if I now go to the example asset, of course, there's more information in here. Also more documents are associated with it. Of course, I can open them again as well. And it's also interesting to know that those documents can also be used in the scope of verifiable credentials. And I will go into a little bit of details in the next sessions, in the next step, I should say. So, of course, we can also, as mentioned, act as an issuer of credentials. And, well, let's just click on this one. And over here, we have a selection of credential definitions. Users themselves are able to add new forms, new credential definitions. There's just some random examples in here. So for instance, there's an example for a swimming pool. So let's go swimming. We're going on a Saturday with 2 adults and 3 children. And as you can see, I would be able to attach an evidence file. And this evidence file is not included in the verifiable credential, but will be cryptographically proved by the verifiable credential using a hash. And that means that at a later point in time, you would be able to disclose the evidence document which has led to the verifiable credential. Of course, since we're going to a swimming pool, that's not really relevant. So let's proceed. I now am at the second step of issuance, and there I can select to issue this credential, for instance, via email or directly provide a QR code. So let's do that. And if I now scan that again with my mobile application, you will see that it will immediately fetch the credential because now it knows the actual issuer already. And as you can see, that's the same information again as that we provided just now. So let's accept that. And with that, I would like to conclude this demo. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer all of the questions, of course. Thank you for listening.